So you're not only fighting for economic freedom, you're fighting for freedom of speech.
Exactly. I fight for freedom in all aspects of life. That is to say, one of the things that seems most interesting to me is that when the Berlin Wall fell, it's true that officially fell in the year 1989, but the reality is that the wall, or socialism, fell in the year 1961 when they had to build the wall. I mean, they built it because people were leaving communist Germany for capitalist Germany. They realized that those on the Western side were much better off. And of course, to prevent people from leaving. They put, what a wonderful system, right? So, I mean, they had to trap people, they couldn't let them go. I mean, these are such wonderful ideas that they had to apply them at gunpoint. It's no coincidence that they killed 150 million human beings. So, what happened then? The official fall of the wall in the year 1989 made it clear that socialism had failed. In that context, the socialists, they moved the discussion of class struggle in economics and took it to other areas. So, for example, socialism, or what is of the 21st century, or cultural Marxism or post-Marxism, whatever definition you want, is to take class struggle to different aspects of life. For example, one of the aspects of life where you, let's say, have this is in gender ideology. I mean, it's incredible because the first ones to defend equality before the law were the liberals. The first to defend women's rights were the liberals. Jeremy Bentham, in the year 1750, was the first to demand equality before the law for women. I mean, the cause of equality before the law for women, and equality of rights, the first ones who advocated for this were the liberals, did you know? However, what does the left do? They just go on to radicalize it. And then it moves to what is called female chauvinism. Female chauvinism is, let's say, the fight against males. And then, I mean, how do they do it? They do it by assigning rights. But when you assign a right, someone has to pay for it. And that has consequences. And in general, let's say, this always happens. The consequences are that the results are worse than what you had before. I mean, in any state intervention, the subsequent result is often worse than what you originally had. So that's one thing. And not only that, but the other side of this is the environmental agenda, which sets man against nature, involving all aspects of environmentalism and everything related to climate change. In other words, they can't stand any serious discussion. Therefore, all environmental policies are nothing more than an excuse to collect taxes, so that a group of parasitic bureaucrats can live at the expense of others and finance sinister ideas, where the most sinister idea of all is that there is no room for everyone on planet Earth. That is, an idea that failed with Malthus at the beginning of the 19th century, a murderous idea that was also applied by the Egyptians against the Jews, and this is famously recorded in the book of Shemot or Exodus. Or, for example, another thing is Black Lives Matter. That is, black people against white people, or indigenous people against the established communities. Or, I mean, everything related to LGBT agendas. Definitely, these are some of the ways in which, socialism extended the class struggle into other aspects of society, creating divisions and fostering deceit with the sole purpose of absorbing taxes. I mean, what was the Ministry of Women in Argentina doing? Did it manage to reduce a single femicide? No, none at all. The number of femicides exploded just the same. In fact, the most feminist president in Argentine history, Mr. Alberto Fernandez, used to beat his wife. That is such a strange feminist. I mean, so within the ranks of feminists, let's say, you will essentially find the largest number of rapists and women beaters. And it's quite interesting what they do. Their hypocrisy is truly striking. It's not just about that, though. I mean, the battle is on three fronts. You have the economic front, which is free enterprise capitalism. Then we have the political level. Currently, the system that the world has designed is a republican liberal democracy with checks and balances. And I mean, at the cultural battle level, notice that socialism has been very successful in the cultural battle. It has been very successful politically because it was able to translate that political battle in winning many elections. But why is it falling apart? Why? Because it produces misery, and because the economic system is a disaster, so people eventually realize that it is making things worse for them. Liberal libertarians are very good when it comes to economics. Yes, and those good economic results can actually lead, to the generation of solid political processes. But what happened? The liberals neglected the cultural battle. Much of the blame was placed on Fukuyama when he said this is the end of history. No, it was not the end of history, because the following year, in 1990, the socialists gathered at the São Paulo Forum and, based on the ideas of Gramsci, designed a strategy to infiltrate the media, culture, and education, which ended up changing the entire discourse. And they established that what they said was politically correct, and that any idea outside of it was to be considered reactionary and had to be censored or even persecuted. And they claimed to be the ones defending freedom, even though they were the ones persecuting people. It's the same with journalists who get upset with Twitter. They say they defend freedom but can't stand it when those who think differently speak. Is that freedom? Yes, for them, but not for those who think differently. That's not freedom, that's fascism. Then, what do we say? Then we must fight on the economic front, and I believe we are implementing an extremely successful economic program that is being recognized worldwide. In fact, the other night, the president-elect, Donald Trump, indeed gave recognition for the achievements we are having in Argentina and the speed at which we have done it. At the same time, you have to fight the political battle because, soccer matches are not won by shouting from the stands, they are won by playing on the field. But that alone is not enough, because you have to, you need to convey to society the values of capitalism, the free market, what liberalism is, the value of freedom, right? And when you succeed in that, then we will indeed be able to advance steadily. If you don't fight the cultural battle, what happened in Chile will happen to you. They had economic success. It was, sustained over time, but at some point it collapsed. Why did it collapse? Because they hadn't fought the cultural battle. Then socialism, little by little, took control of institutions in education and the media. So, they took over the media and culture, and on that basis, they attacked and broke up the system. And then they found themselves with increasing doses of socialism, and the only thing socialism generates is poverty. Therefore, what you must keep in mind is that you have to fight the battles on all fronts. And if you don't keep that in mind, I can tell you, are headed towards collapse.